Hi everybody, and good morning here from the middle of Finland. I'm not in my usual home. I'm actually in the middle of a warehouse which is selling clothes, which is just perfect for the sign Cancer. This belongs to my wife's family, and I was just thinking about the outer covering. So I'm surrounded by that which represents the outer covering of man, you know, the robe. And it's early in the morning, and I'm here alone, and happy to be connected with you. Um, Behind me is not exactly the most decorous image, circuit breakers and other things like that. I'll just have to do the best I can. And we've reached really the higher interlude of the year. I think, what is it, 11 today, 11:32 and maybe 12 or 14 seconds, something like that, for the actual full moon. That's GMT time. So it's really from here another 7 hours or so. Some of you will be going to sleep, and I suppose waking up early for this. Here we have the Cancerian banner. The color is violet. That is the color that DK gave for this sign. It may be the same color scale. I'm told this is used by the Order of the Golden Dawn, but in any case, DK chose to give these colors, and he used them in some meditations. We basically have the moon as the orthodox ruler, and Neptune as the esoteric and hierarchical ruler. In fact, the moon in the chart can veil either. It can veil Vulcan, Neptune, or Uranus, but in this case, it's Uranus. I mean, it's Neptune, and DK tells us how fortunate we are, most of us, that the planet Neptune, with its extreme sensitivity to many, many vibrations, is veiled until we can learn to handle it. Here is the so it's a long way from the moon to Neptune in a way. We can say that the moon represents the dense physical nature particularly, and Neptune represents the astral nature. These are the two places where the crab is found, living on land and living in water. So really, Cancer represents that which comes from the previous solar system and more the irrational part of man. It doesn't really include the mind, but in a way it includes supermind. It includes the Buddhic plane later on. It's a sign of great feeling. So this, in a way, climaxes our higher interlude. It's the end of the high and the beginning of the movement towards the lower interlude, taking place 6 months from now. And the light, at least in the north, will wane, but in the south it gets stronger. Here is the Jafra illustration, rather sea-like. We have the crab with its very long and powerful claws representing the power of attachment. And we have the many, many hands reaching and grasping for things. I think Cancer, being the sign of incarnation in the densest spheres, has everything to do with attachment to those spheres. And those spheres are really composed of matter which comes from the previous solar system, even from the first part of the previous solar system. We're told that Cancer rules the first part and Virgo the second part of the previous solar system. We have, some of those animals that have the outer hard shell. The entire insect group, which is usually ruled by Capricorn, interestingly enough, has the hard outer shell. Here's a turtle for us as well, a couple of them. The outer carapace shields the sensitive inner subjective nature, and protects it, and also blocks it from full expression until it is worn thin and becomes translucent and eventually transparent under the refining influence of Neptune. Here is Artemis, the moon goddess, she can shoot her arrows and make people mad. Madness is connected with the moon, actually. She's called the divine lunatic, interestingly enough, by HPB. And if the lower nature is not purified and higher energies are prematurely allowed into it, then chaos and madness is the result. In any case, we're talking about the great ocean of matter here. All of matter is water. So we're not just talking about the astral plane, but we're talking about the matter of the 18 lower subplanes, and I suppose from another and still higher perspective, all the matter of the cosmic physical plane. But particularly the lunar part is the 18 lower subplanes, and as I've sometimes said, even the tarot card for the moon is card number 18, which is very interesting. So we have to master those subplanes gradually. All the 18 fires must die down, and the lesser lives must return to the reservoir of life. This we're told about in Rule 4. Interestingly, Rule 4, Cancer is the fourth sign in the rays and the initiations. Actually, those 14 rules, many of them have astrological keys, and certainly this one in Cancer does. Francis has given us a beautiful image here, a couple of temple images. I'll just focus on the most recent one. It's really beautifully translucent, alive, as if the inner life is really shining through the outer temple. We're all of us building a lighted temple, a lighted house, and seeking to dwell therein. Let's take a look at some of the things he says about this, and I hope to be able to switch back and forth between them. This is the text. We stand before the ancient portal, Cancerian portal, that leads into human incarnation. This is the sign, of course, most associated with human incarnation, and the entire human family took its first incarnation in this sign. A kingdom we first entered in an eon long past. On the far side of the temple, the portal of Capricorn opens into the realm of the fifth kingdom, but we're looking at the earlier side, the first side. We're looking at the portal into incarnation, but on the far side, the entry into the fifth kingdom of nature, its dual apex of hierarchy and Shambhala, just hidden from view. Okay. The soul stands at the center. By emulating its open-handed gesture, the personality depicted in the foreground has begun to take on the quality of that with which it has aligned itself, and thus glows with soul light. So I guess here is the personality standing in the foreground, and it's beginning to glow, and the inner soul is there, and even a figure very similar representing the monad, the third and tiniest of the figures, and Francis will reference that. The temple is made up of 12 columns and 12 lintels, forming 12 portals. The lintels are embossed with the symbols of the esoteric rulers of the 12 astrological signs. So immediately here we're at the Cancerian gate, aren't we? And here is the Neptune, and the further gate, I guess it's Saturn there, or it possibly could be Venus as the ruler of the Capricorn gate. But on all of these, there are the various rulers that we find on the crossbars. Okay, the lintels are embossed with the symbols of the esoteric rulers. Yes, esoteric rulers, not hierarchical, so that's completely correct. Because Neptune is both the esoteric and hierarchical ruler, and Saturn across the way as you walk through the temple is the esoteric ruler. That's correct. The 6 potencies, astrological axes that make up the temple's interior space represent the field of incarnated human experience. This temple is of ancient design. It looks rather Stonehengean, doesn't it? It stretches back in time to the time of individualization, when the substance out of which it was then fashioned began recording the gradual awakening to soul contact. Now, after eons of struggle to integrate the personality and gain soul alignment, its opaque stones have begun to gain the color and transparency of the soul that stands at its center. It reminds you of some Masonic ideas that when a man first begins his Masonic experience, he's pretty rough. He's the rough stone. And later he becomes the smooth, polished stone that can fit into the temple's design with right exactitude. Okay. You'll notice that the Temple of Light is oriented along the Cancer-Capricorn axis as we go through it. That is the main axis. We stand before the first great gate, the gate into human incarnation, looking towards the second, the gate of initiation, the gate into life of those who know not death, whereas the first is the gate into life of those who must know death. It's the lower life. Okay, the geometry of Cancer is the cube, symbolizing the realm of forms, connected with the number 6. The 6th ray is a strong ruler here of Cancer. It stands for the house that must eventually be lit through the discovery of and orientation towards its hidden central point. So it's the inner soul that lights up the house, and it's also the inner spirit that lights up the causal body, which is also a temple, this time not made with hands and eternal in the heavens. The Tibetan tells us the lines become allied, the cubes are formed, shielding the inner fire, the 6th shield the 7th. The altar is prepared, and 4 square stands. Cancer is the 4th sign. This 4 square represents the lower quaternary, the realm of the lunar lords, described as the imprisoning cubes. They are lords of form, and they do hold the consciousness endurance vial for a long time until we work our way out through monadic power eventually, and that's also ruled by the number 6 and exemplified by the exoteric rulership of the moon in this sign. The following quote gives further insight as to why Cancer is so particularly associated with the realm of form. In Cancer, this living substance, the threefold figure in the image, the living substance, assumes the triple differentiated relationship to which we give the name of life, Aries, represented by the tiny inmost figure. Aries is the sign most associated with spirit, and we see this tiny inmost figure, okay? And then Taurus, consciousness, Taurus, the central figure, and manifested duality, Gemini, which is, I suppose, the outer figure. And these three blended together come into manifestation, which is, of course, the Cancerian theme, to be consciously directed and controlled in Cancer, thus leading to the great liberation which takes place in the polar opposite to Cancer, Capricorn, on the other side of the temple. So we have a little here on Neptune, which is the fish god, the Christ, who introduces the following quote. Well, I hope I have this correct here. Following quote given. Okay, let's see here. Maybe not. The following quote given, represented by the tiny inmost figure. No. I think I think this is not what we want. This is it. Neptune, the fish god, the Christ, introduces the water of life into the ocean of. Now, the water of life is coming from the Buddhic plane, isn't it? The water of life is coming from the Buddhic plane. And so introduces the water of life into the ocean of substance, and that is the lower substance, and thus brings light to the world. Because Neptune, after all, interestingly rules what we call the sea of light. And this is even more the case on the monadic plane, with which we can also associate this great planet Neptune. Starting from above, the cosmic astral plane, the monadic plane, the Buddhic plane, and the astral plane. Neptune is presiding over all of these in various levels of its expression. This is one of the few provocative passages that connect Neptune, the Christ, and the water of life. Interesting, Neptune is one of the veiled hierarchical rulers of Aquarius, which gives us the water of life. Both Neptune and Christ, we are told, preside over the second initiation, and it is inferred that the baptism, the name given to the second initiation, draws its potency from the water of life, I suppose the Buddhic energy, which begins to infuse the astral body, which when poured into the ocean of substance, the receptive initiate, and especially his astral body, brings light to the world. It gets rid of glamour, that's for sure. Anchors the influence of the soul on the physical plane by means of the consciousness of the purified initiate. But a shift has occurred, and Dihé tells us that unlike during Atlantean times, the purification that comes as a result of the second initiation is now by fire and not by water. Well, this was in the Bible as well, that the disciples who were gathered on Pentecost were initiated by fire, although they had been also purified by water. So we cannot avoid the watery purification, though fire is the preferred method at this time. Neptune is the repository of the solar flames, actually in a way a very fiery planet. Interesting both watery and fiery. Perhaps this fact gives us Neptune's esoteric nature, says Francis here, the unveiled Neptune, capable of releasing the initiate from the thrall of astral glamour. The unveiled Neptune relates Cancer to no other constellation or sign. For when a man is an initiate, he does not react to ordinary feelings, sentiment, or to personality relations as they express themselves in pleasure or pain. It does relate Cancer to signs in which these planets are veiled, such as Leo, Virgo, and Aquarius. All these are surmounted, and eventually the watery life of emotional reaction is superseded by the life of true and inclusive love, which is the Buddhic substitution for the usual astral nature. The astral body becomes the organ of love, and the mother gives birth to the son, who is the soul nature, and that individual spiritual entity then stands free, as Neptune is one of the great planets of freedom, coming in at the fourth initiation when the heart center rules, and releasing the initiate onto the cosmic ethers, and especially onto the Buddhic plane. So we thank you, Francis, for the beautiful illustration, really glowing and giving us an idea of what the lighted house is all about and how the lighted house is created through the three aspects of man which transmit the light and wear away the opaqueness of the stone. Okay, friends, now onward. Oh, there are other, Francis also gave us one in 2011, also a kind of a temple, but and it looks like the Pleiades are right above, so connected with Cancer. But I'm not going to go through that right now. You have that from another time. And let us begin our meditation with a warm welcome to all of you for attending. I know it's late for some of you, probably it's a decent time in Australia and New Zealand, and it's midnight on the East Coast or later, not too bad on the West Coast. And here in Europe, it is possible if you want to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning or 6. Anyway, we do the best we can to find an average, a movable average, so that we can include everybody. And then we make these available. But there's not much time to the full moon, so whether this will be made available or not immediately, we have to see. Okay. So we are in, actually we're in the day of safeguarding. We are within the 12-hour period before the full moon. We've gone through the days of confidence, aspiration, and dedication, where our keynotes are detachment and renunciation, building towards this particular day and the downflow. Yeah, I suppose I'm pretty sure. I just want to make a quick check here, if it will allow me to do that. Okay. And I'll just do a quick check over here. I usually have this figure exactly at my fingertips, but it's not at my fingertips at the moment, and it's going to be the lunar phase. I'm going to say okay, let that go, and we go here to the full moon on June 20th. Yeah, that's it, 2:32 and 14 seconds. So that's finish time, so it's therefore 11. Let me repeat, not 10, but 11:32 and 14 seconds GMT. So I'm sure you all have that. And, that moment of the full moon, honor it. He says it's as if a door opens at that exact moment, which is open at no other time. And contacts with the hierarchy and with higher energies are possible then as at no other time. So do your best to honor that, even though it may mean some inconvenience to the sleepy body, or if you are also at work, for instance, although this one's pretty much on the weekend, do your best to keep the inner process alive, even though your outer mechanism may be doing other things, and it's good practice to be able to do two things at once, thus living the dual life of discipleship. So in another 7 hours or so, we will have the exact full moon. And then we will go on, after holding and receiving this power, to register it, to be animated by a sense of expectancy, and then finally to confirm belief right here in the physical plane in the physical brain and carrying it forward into manifestation. Okay, friends, so we begin. We withdraw our consciousness from its outer identifications. And we pull back, as it were, realizing that while we have a body and the vital electrical system, we are not that, not essentially. And while we have our sentient nature, our feeling, attraction, repulsion, we are not that essentially. And while we have the mental nature, the lower mind, especially in this context, we are not that. We are something other. We are a unit of being consciousness. And we are immersed in the lower 18, surrounded by the lower 18 fires so connected with cancer. And we often identify with those fires mistakenly, but those lesser lives must return to the reservoir of life and our freedom in consciousness realized. So these outer factors are expendable, though practically necessary, though expendable when we want to go into the deepest consciousness. And we find ourselves within the temple of the soul. The egoic lotus, however we may picture that, whether it's a tiny mechanism with a great radiation or larger. And we are then confronted with the world of soul light, soul love, soul sacrificial will, and we get the feeling of being more the soul than the personality, more this subtle center of consciousness, connected with each other in the group, magnetically connected wherever we may be. Reaching out to the members of the new group of world servers, but reaching out in soul, magnetic connection under the law of magnetic impulse, of polar union. We unite with the fellow souls all around the world in this group, and touching then all men and women of goodwill, wherever they may be found, somehow feeling their presence in their soul nature. And somehow really touching every human soul, those who are in incarnation at the moment and those who have dropped the body, wherever they may be, still touching them in soul, till the sense of the great one humanity, so pronounced in cancer, is sensed. The whole is seen as one. The wholeness is seen as one, is known as one, and all are included, none are excluded. Whether good, whether bad, in the soul nature there is no bad. So our sense of being one with humanity should be very strong at this time. It is the sign in which that oneness can really be realized. And that oneness will include all the kingdoms of nature as well, and the entire planet, and will extend outward into the solar system, all embraced in this mysterious oneness, absorption into the mysterious oneness, which is part of identification. And in this identification with humanity, we come to realize the truth of the ancient mantra, naught is but me, the great me, the one inclusive life with which ultimately we have to be identified. And it's Neptune, of course, that gives us this power. The Christ was the great master of identification. He is that. And he is Neptune, and he is Vishnu. It's a great second red planet from the monadic perspective. Naught is but me, including all. So we have this soul alignment, but also we are sustaining our ability to focus in the normal concrete mind, which is becoming more and more soul infused. That point from which we build the Antakarana is becoming intensified with soul will. We can consider it a point we all share, and from which we can build a bridge into the planetary mind, the planetary heart, and the planetary will. This focus of the mental unit intensified by the soul will to initiate first ray. The will to unify, second ray. The will to evolve, to become educated, the third ray. The will to harmonize, the fourth ray. The will to act, the fifth ray. The will to cause, the sixth ray. The will to express, seventh ray. This bridge we're going to build, it draws up all the group personality energies, and it fortifies our point of intention, from which rises, via the creative imagination, the dual-colored bridge. Or if you don't know your soul and personality ray, you know you can use indigo. It's the great synthetic color. But the color of the soul and the color of the personality rising as a bridge of light. Try to feel those two colors, the red of ray 1, the indigo ray 2, the green of ray 3, the yellow of ray 4, the orange of ray 5, the rose of ray 6 or light blue, the violet of ray 7. The many strands of the group Antakarana rise, and all the colors are included. we're all contributing our colors, our qualities, rising through the three vehicles in formation, the higher mental vehicle, the Buddhic vehicle, the Atmic vehicle, all in process of formation, rising to the center of spirit, which we can visualize as the blue-white diamond. You can feel that we're all being united in that sense of pure being, and of a consciousness which is planetary in scope. Beyond the individual, beyond all that we have accumulated below, it's now what the planetary logos has accumulated in his long years of development, and in which we share as temporary emanations of that logos. Or our bridge can go inward towards the center of the sphere, where also the blue-white diamond can await us, but we must have the alignment. And so, across this bridge, we will project via the Om, we'll sound the Om outwardly and think, I see the greatest light inwardly. All of us do this, and in your own place you can sound the Om aloud. From the top to the bottom, then, at least in imagination, this vital bridge exists, connecting our heights with our depths. And as we will go forth along the bridge, we will be met by the higher powers which come forth to meet us, as in the story of the prodigal son who did not wait for the father, who did not wait for the son to knock on the door, but ran forth to meet him. Great truth, as they're embodied. And we wish to achieve our solidarity with the great ones, the masters with whom we cooperate and whom we serve, the members of the Great White Brotherhood, the Society of Organized and Illumined Minds, the Grand Lodge on high, so many names for this august energy center. We declare our solidarity through our salutations. It's not worship, this is not devotion, this is a recognition of their place, our place in relation to them, and our commitment to cooperate in their plans which reflect the purpose of the King. Salutations to the Christ, the Master of all masters, the teacher alike of angels and of men. Salutations to the triangle of masters with whom we most closely work and who are so responsible for bringing the ageless wisdom to man. The Master M, Master KH, Master DK. And these are group salutations we are offering. Then first to the Master M. Salutations to the Master Morya, the head of all esoteric schools and organizations, the one who strengthens all disciples. Salutations to the Master KH, the Christ of the age of Capricorn some 2,300 years hence, and the one who now engineers through his ashram the most potent effort to prepare and see through the reappearance of the Lord Maitreya. Salutations to the Master DK, the messenger of the Masters who has given us the Blue Books and whose task it is now, among other things, to prepare aspirants for initiation. Salutations to your own Master as you conceive him to be or know him to be. Salutations to the entire spiritual hierarchy of our planet. We express our solidarity. Master Morya has said, "Must I shout it in your ears?" He said, hierarchy. And then through the power of the creative imagination, we attune ourselves to the great center. As a group we do this, to the center where the will of God is known, and with the deepest reverence and in all humility we attempt, identified as a group, to attune with the presence of Sanat Kumara, the king of Shambhala, standing at the very center of Shambhala. The purpose. and a long inner silent Om as we attempt as a group to feel the group and all who may be responsive to receive this energy of purpose mediated through the plan. We are as if a point of light, a point of love, a point of spiritual power. We are that. That's how we should conceive of ourselves now, not as a group of individuals, but all united on the plane of soul, fed by spirit, in light, love, and power. A point we are. Overcoming time and space, united together as one thing. And we will begin our journey towards the stars, literally, by seeing our group point above the golden pathway leading into the center of the indigo blue sun. We are, as it were, on that golden path. And there we will meet with the consciousness of Master TK, at least imaginatively. And the path shortens, the golden path, as if it is magnetically drawn into the heart of this indigo blue sun. And we travel with it, until it does disappear. And we find ourselves in the center of this sun, imbued with the indigo. Imbued by the presence of the consciousness of Master DK, and we seek to become, at this time, outposts, a group outpost of his consciousness, as we seek to come en rapport with the energies now uniquely available. The planetary energies, the ray energies now uniquely available. Realizing that supported by his consciousness we can more justly attune and understand, attune with and understand, and distribute these energies. Of course, it is especially the energy of the planet Neptune, perhaps the greatest of all planets in our present second-ray solar system. Yes, it is the moon in Cancer that rules exoterically, and the moon always veils triply, Vulcan, Neptune, or Uranus, creating the prison of the soul, but also the means of working our way through into translucence and transparence. So for many eons we are confined within the cubes, within the six, no way out because of its opaqueness, but gradually the refining influence of Neptune will take over. Love and compassion will come in and replace the ordinary desires. And as the hierarchical ruler, Neptune would imbue our consciousness with the great harmony and beauty of Buddhi, the intuition, and even the power to identify as the monad and break down all, or dissolve rather, all boundaries between me and thee, the boundaries between identities dissolving away, until with the Christ one day we can truly know what is in man, because we are there and there is no difference. So this will be our approach, supported by the consciousness of Master TK, at least imaginatively. I always say at least imaginatively, because the switch between imagination and reality is subtle indeed and can happen suddenly. So we act as if. We look up and we see the moon. It's been so beautiful here. In the middle of Finland, they burn these bonfires at the midsummer time. The full moon is occurring at the midsummer time. The full moon and the fire. It's the mother of form in relation to Cancer. And these lunar agencies build the form, build the lower form, the threefold personality, the physical etheric body, the astral and mental body, lower mental body. The higher mental body rather is solar, you see. But it builds in such a way as to prove fit to receive and contain and radiate the light and love of the soul. So we have this vehicle and we are responsible for it. We must render it translucent so that one can see the light coming through, and eventually transparent. Not only the light, but the source of the light is seen coming through the form. So we lift the lower six eventually into the higher six. The lower six of form towards the spirit itself, towards Shambhala, which is a 6. 24 equals 6. And one of the lighted houses we will build is that of the moon, that of the lower nature. It's not the only lighted house. But it is one we build. As the fire is evoked, let the disciple tend the evocation of the fire and nourish the lesser lives. So may that which is lunar within us shine with the radiation of the sun, and let us see, let us look, let us see our group and groups in their personality nature, their lunar nature, translucent, transparent even, and shining. The radiation of the sun, shining by reflected light and not just by lunar light. All of us solarized in our lower nature. These days, these few days, we are the lighted house, and we can magnetically attract people to that lighted house, through which they can experience actually the warmth of solar fire. So we prepare the form. And the moon is especially of the 5 non-sacred planets, it's the outer form especially. The earth, the etheric, Mars, the astral, Pluto, the mental, and the sun, the ahamkaric personality. These are the 5. So the moon is the outer rind. And we see the personality of the group and of every individual in the group improving in form. building actually the physical through the radiated power of Vulcan, building the emotional through the radiated power of Neptune, building the mental through Uranus. These are the real energies coming through, apparently coming through the moon. And so may the lunar lords build in accordance with these great sacred planets, so that we have the strength of Vulcan in our physical body and the sensitivity of Neptune in our emotional body and the brilliance of Uranus in our mental body. A lighted house indeed. And then, again, supported by the consciousness of Master DK, we tune in on the esoteric Neptune, refining, sensitizing, calming the astral body, rendering it receptive to love and compassion of the Buddhic plane. The solar flames come in here. Solar fire comes in here and affects our emotional body, which is not just the vehicle of desire as it so often is under Mars. The vehicle now of love and sensitivity and inclusiveness, and of identification with all forms of life in the great ocean. But first, the compassion, first, the sensitivity. It's the heart and solar plexus connection, and we can all use this. We all need this, individually and in our groups, and so let us see our groups with that astral body sensitized to the energy of love, which overcomes the usual attractions and repulsions, the usual antipathies, the usual attractions into form, overcoming those. And as we see this transformation occurring in our group life, we will sound the Om on the second ray notes, helping that happen. So these next days we walk around with a sensitive astral body, not egoistically sensitive, but sensitive to the feelings of others, to the needs of others, to their true subjective experience, sensitive, and ultimately, when all is said and done, feeling compassion and love for them and identification with their struggles, beyond irritation. This finally taken care of at the second degree, where Neptune is so prominent. But now we will look even further, supported as we are by the consciousness of Master DK, who knows these things, who has been through these things. And we look at the transcendental aspect of Neptune in relation to Cancer hierarchically. It's another octave. And we attune with Neptune's power to reveal the all-pervading presence of God, of reality, of the identity, of suchness, of the being, the all-pervading being of God in matter form, and the ability of Neptune to promote identification with the heart of life, which is the spirit itself, the heart of life within the form, finding always by subtle means that spirit something, which is the real human being and the real being, whatever the form may be through which that being is expressing, finding so subtly the beingness of each form and merging with that, fusing with that. Beyond the separation which Mars causes, beyond that, Mars gives way to this higher Neptune. And we realize Christ as the Neptunian energy, Neptune is the Christ energy, the Buddhi, permeating every form in the lower worlds, that core of Buddhi at the heart of every form, and throughout the entire cosmic physical plane. And realize also that this power of Neptune even touches the monadic plane, where we realize that all spirits are one spirit. We touch this source from which the theme of salvation emanates, and that's also the cosmic astral plane one day. Salvation from the cosmic astral plane via the monadic plane, via the Buddhic plane, and into the astral body. The transcendental aspect of Neptune. Neptune, dissolving all the many identities into the one real identity in the ocean of life. Neptune introducing us to sameness in spirit. One ocean, one life. And the many fishes swimming in the ocean are but one life. This deeper search through transcendental Neptune to find that which is inherent in every form and more real than any form. And our groups need this sense of the transcendental. Not just souls in harmony, but one being, one spirit. And we see that flowing into the group and the groups. So many different levels and layers of Cancerian energy. And given that Neptune gives us the solar flames, then our attention imaginatively is drawn to the great solar logos who unifies all things, all beings in harmony in his solar system. And that great logos is what we really are, more essentially even than a planetary being. We try to feel the sun at the core of our nature as if the monad is a sun. We are that. And we are in a great brotherhood throughout the solar system, the solar brotherhood. The monad is that which finds its home within the sun. The love wisdom pouring through all planets and especially into our own at this particular time. And the light of Cancer being the light within the form, a dark light, just as the constellation itself is relatively dark, being related more to the time of the past, or to higher energies which cannot yet really be fully appreciated. It is the diffused light of substance itself, the dark light of matter, referred to in the secret doctrine. It is the light, awaiting stimulation coming from the soul light, and ultimately from the spirit light. We are going to use Vulcan to make that dark light shine and radiate with solar light. Vulcan and the sun are one. And through it will come the rays, 3 of intelligence and 7 of order and magic, manifestational rays, as is fitting with this sign of manifestation. And yet devotion to the ideal which must be manifested. And then our attention on the constellation itself, which provides the energy which reaches the sign Cancer. I build a lighted house, and therein dwell. And the lighted houses are 3. The entire personality, the entire integrated personality is a lighted house. The causal body, the inner temple, is a lighted house. And finally, one day, before its eventual destruction, the great temple of Ezekiel, the monadic temple, on the 6th plane, the ultimate lighted house for us on this cosmic physical plane. But our attention is on the first, on the lowest of the lighted houses, and if we do that correctly, the building on the level of the temple will occur. So we will ponder how we do this. How we do this together, how we build the group lighted house and the lighted house of humanity as well. I build a lighted house, and therein dwell. I build a lighted house. We build a lighted house. All of humanity builds a lighted house eventually, and therein dwells. I build a lighted house. It's our great task in the redemption of matter from the previous solar system. We work from above. We work with soul light within the lower opaque substances of the lower kingdoms. We meditate from soul levels as we do this. It's not just a question of manipulating lower matter, is it? I build a lighted house, and therein dwell. In groups such as ours, we must be a source of light within the still rather opaque temple, the lower temple of humanity, or the tabernacle in the wilderness, as it could be called. It's not yet the beautiful temple. We have to be a source of light in these obscured times when the Maya, the glamour, the pride, the mentality that sees one's own way as the only way, the vestige of the sixth ray, when all of that is obscuring the light for humanity, we must be that which provides a great deal of light, helping to lift the veils and solve these very serious problems of humanity. I build a lighted house, and therein dwell. And perhaps we can see whatever it is we do or think or feel that obscures the light in our own house, whatever renders that house opaque rather than translucent or transparent. Perhaps we can see these things There are so many ways to paint ourselves in and not allow the light through, to wrongly color our lighted house. So many ways. Each one has to find, through scrupulous inner attention, how we do this, and then just stop doing it. Do something else instead. I build the lighted house. And it takes time. Building is slow. And then dwell therein, but not identified as the lighted house, but identified as that which illumines the lighted house. That's how we identify. And we can do that. We have the power. We have the power to do that. It's a great alignment we have here. It goes so far, the inner eye cannot follow it, but for practical purposes, at least to visualize the Pleiades, the very hub of the wheel with their some 800, 900 stars, more being discovered all the time, the great head center, thousand-petaled lotus of the one about whom naught may be said. And perhaps transmitted especially through the seven sisters, and transmitted to the sign, or constellation rather, Cancer, very intimately connected with the Pleiades, conveying, of course, intelligence and material ability, but also, strangely, the deep Buddhic energy through the Pleiades and through Cancer. How interesting. And on to our solar logos. And on especially to the planet Neptune, with Vulcan and Uranus transmitting some of these energies, but at this point Neptune, the bluest of the planets in our solar system. And that means something. And to our Earth, to Shambhala, where under the law of assembly the energies are gathered at these times, thus reaching us in monad, and to the hierarchy and the Christ, thus reaching us in soul. And to all of us, through the heart and the head, through the heart center, and ultimately the solar plexus, all of those aligned, we carry this constructive, building energy, this energy of divine desire and divine discontent, which refines all things so they can express the energy of love, wisdom from these sources, a very high Buddhic source, even coming from the Pleiades. This is what we need to express now to all forms, to all those embodied in forms, the hidden souls within the forms. Let's see if we can do this rightly and embrace and include these days all that is of matter form and somehow suffuse it with these high Buddhic energies, of light, of harmony, of intuition, of love. The great fusion, we sense the great fusion in this usually fragmented world of matter form. We sense how much humanity needs this. All the trouble spots of the world perhaps find one that especially needs this harmonizing, sensitizing power of compassion. Focus on that for a moment. What would that be for you? Perhaps under Neptune, the very great imbalance between Venus and Mars can be corrected. At least imbalance in the way we appropriate those energies. Neptune, as the higher octave of Venus, can help it grow in relation to Mars, which has long dominated our planet and which is recrudescing at this time. Let us transmit an idea of an improved situation through imagination into the troubled area we may find here. We'll do this on the sound of the Om and see the transformation taking place before our eyes. We embrace, we include, we see humanity as one, we see the whole is one. The whole is seen as one, and we carry that oneness with us as we go through these days, this day of reception and safeguarding, which is to occur in another 6 hours. We carry the wholeness with us all the time and refuse to be engaged with the fragment as a fragment, only the fragment as an emanation of the whole. This is what interests us. Can we do this? I think so. And this takes us to that part of the meditation where together, preserving our alignment through imagination, which feeds the alignment, carrying that sense of alignment with us all day, those sources from which the operative energies come at this time, realizing that these are great points of light and love and power which are feeding the transformation here in the lower opaque worlds. We will sound the great invocation together. Sounding this as a group On behalf also of the new group of world servers, on behalf of all men and women of goodwill, on behalf of all humanity, attempting to bring the plan of our planetary logos, and via the plan his purpose, closer to a working out in this sign of manifestation, Cancer. Let us find a way at last to manifest those things which we have been intending to manifest, which were bright and good ideas but which had not manifested. Let us during this time in Cancer, following the full moon, see to the manifestation. Let us see to it. From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into the minds of men. Let light descend on earth. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into the hearts of men. May Christ return to earth. From the center where the will of God is known, let purpose guide the little wills of men, the purpose which the masters know and serve. From the center which we call the race of men, let the plan of love and light work out, and may it seal the door where evil dwells. Let light and love and power restore the plan on earth. Okay, friends, hold the alignment. You have another 6 hours approximately until GMT time, 11:32 and 14 seconds. Let's make this a significant illuminating experience, and let's hope that the little houses that surround us, our various spherical ring pass knots in all of their grades, will be somewhat more illumined by what we do as individuals and as a group. Let us work very hard now to illuminate the houses in which we live, the rooms of consciousness in which we live. Let us do our best. So, thank you, and we'll be meeting. Tuya will have, for those of you who are not having your own particular full moon responsibilities, Tuya will start a full moon meditation at 11:15 GMT, 15 minutes to 11, and so you're most welcome to join us for that if it's possible for you. Okay, Nice to see you all, and let's keep the energy building. All the best to you, and I will sign out.